need some good news in your life? Well, good. Here's a couple weeks of good news. And if you want daily good news, I post it to my TikTok and sometimes on my Instagram. Let's jump into it. Good news! I look like a librarian today.
Your book's overdue. You owe me a fine. The fine is 20 cents.
Why are library fines so insignificant all the time? I mean, I love that, but I don't get it. Okay, to the good news. So do you guys remember a few weeks ago I told you that good news story about the kids in California who set up a happiness hotline that you could call and they would, encourage you? Well, now there's more of that, but this time it's coming from a group of 5th graders in Florida. I'm gonna call it.
Thank you for calling Milford Schools When Life Gives You Lemons. Call a 5th grader phone line. We're glad you're here to lift your spirits. Please listen to the following options. Press 1 for Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader Fact? Press 2 for Jokes. Press 3 for Pep Talk.
Why couldn't the pony sing a lullaby? She was a little horse.
What did the trust like to the other? Don't look unchanging. How do you brush a bee's hair? With a honeycomb.
Okay, that officially made my day. Those are good jokes, kids. And you should take that as a compliment from me because last week a guy named Brad said I was very funny on the internet. So that phone number is gonna give you jokes, motivational talks, pep talks, and even inspirational quotes. And get this, in order to reach more people, they're recording those messages in Spanish. Good news. So 96-year-old Arnold Zaratka is a World War II veteran who lives in Minnesota. He fought the Germans while serving in France. In fact, he left for the war at just 18 after he graduated high school. Last week, the French government honored Arnold with the Legion of Honor medal. And this is a big deal. The award is the highest distinction in France, and it's given to those who have achieved remarkable deeds for the country. Arnold was married for 73 years, and he says the secret to a long life is to drink scotch. Good news. So Wilbur Brown, he's in Oregon, and in December of 2021, he buys a lottery ticket. What does he think about this lottery ticket? Not much, apparently, because he doesn't check it for 13 weeks. 13 weeks pass, and then finally he's like, man, I better check that lottery ticket. And guess what? He wins some money. You want to guess how much money he won? Guess. Go ahead, guess. $8.9 million. He settles for a 30-year annuity, and after taxes and fees and all that crap, he's making around $200K per year for the next 3 decades. Now, if it was me, I'd personally take the lump sum. That way I could start generating interest. I make that money. But don't take advice from me. I've never won the lottery. Good news. So y'all know how a ton of Californians are fleeing their home state, moving to Texas? Well, I guess they're taking those wildfires with them. In the last week, 178 wildfires have scorched over 108,000 acres in the Lone Star State. Obviously, that's not good news if the news is in California or Texas. In fact, it's very bad news. In fact, as the wildfires had done in California a few years ago, it's doing in Texas. It burned down an entire town, leaving just ash. The good news is the people. People like you. You can make a donation and you can help out our friends in Texas. You can donate to the Eastland County Fire Relief Fund, the Big Country Relief Fund, Texas Baptistmen. They're always looking for volunteers when it comes to disaster relief. There's so many ways to donate, and I thought the ABC affiliate in Dallas, WFAA, had compiled a pretty nice list. If you Google something like WFAA and how to help Texas residents, it should populate a link for you. And I don't really know how to add this into my good news segment because good news has a heroic but very sad ending. But I feel like I would be remiss when talking about the Texas wildfires if I didn't mention Eastland County Deputy Barbara Finley. Deputy Finley, she was helping people escape the fires, and she lost her life in that journey. She'd been with the department just shy of a decade. Prior to that, she had served the people of Gorman as their police chief. She's survived by her husband and 3 kids. Good news! So this is actually a pretty cool story out of South Florida, but in order to get to this cool story out of South Florida, we need 2 things: a hint of sadness and history and a time machine. Blast to the past with me. 79 years ago, Jack and Sam, they survive a Holocaust camp in Poland where for over a year they worked side by side shoveling coal. And when the war ended, they never knew if the other person survived. Nearly 8 decades pass. Boom, we're in the present. That's when Jack and Sam are both at the same benefit for the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, and Jack sees Sam. Jack recognizes Sam, and keep in mind it's been like 80 years. Turns out that Jack had escaped the camp and hid in the woods for 6 months. Sam was moved to another camp, but was saved by American liberators right before the Nazi death march. They each went on to have families, children, grandchildren, even great-grandchildren. And get this, the story gets a little bit more crazy because at one point they both lived in Ohio, but their paths never crossed. And now they both live in South Florida, only about 40 miles apart. And they plan to see each other a lot more. Good news! So a mom goes to start Starbucks, but she puts in a fake order. Her daughter, Emily, she works at this Starbucks, and Emily thinks, no big deal, mom's just coming by to get some coffee. But instead, mom brings the best news. Let's rewind so I can get you some details on this good news story. So Emily is one of 6, and Emily is really close with her 13-year-old sister, Megan. Last year, Megan was diagnosed with cancer. Obviously, this is devastating news to the family, but especially to Emily. You know, her and Megan, they're besties for life. Megan had to go through several rounds of harsh chemo treatment, and then the doctors are like, this isn't working like we want it to, and they try another form of therapy. Well, the other day, mom gets a call. Megan is cancer-free. So mom heads straight to the Starbucks where Emily is working. But it wasn't actually an order, it's a fake order. Instead, she's telling Emily the good news that her sister is cancer-free. Now Megan, she's still recovering. She has to undergo a bone marrow transplant to help ensure that the cancer doesn't come back. Good news! A British soldier just completed the trip of rowing across the Atlantic all by himself, wrapping up that adventure in Florida. Jack Jarvis started his rowing adventure in Portugal on December 21st, 2021. He rowed for 15 hours a day. My arms are tired just thinking about that, okay? He was attempting to break the world record for a solo transatlantic row, and he was also raising money for charity. For the mission to count as solo, Jack couldn't have help from other vessels, and he could not accept a tow. His contact with friends and family, social media, not until he could get close enough to land. That's gotta be pretty scary at times. The journey was right around 4,500 nautical miles, and it took 111 days to complete, and he raised roughly $106,000 for the charity that helped out his grandpa in his final days in the battle against brain cancer. Good news. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment if you like content like this. I'll see you next week, or whenever I post again. Okay, bye.